Hey everybody on YouTube, here to show an update on my Kawasaki Bayou here. Took it out mudding yesterday, well, pretty good, ended up going out to a creek to clean it off, so it's not completely covered, but I'm going to show you guys how I did the rear lift. In total, the rear end actually has 2.5 inches of lift, and I actually did it the best way I think possible. I went and I looked on Kijiji for a guy parting out an older Arctic Cat 500. They came with a 15 3/4 inch long shock in the rear instead of the original 13.5s that came in here. When you install these, in total it gives you a 2 3/4 inch lift, I believe is what we measured it out at. So it's actually really simple. Just directly bolt into the top, straight into the bottom, no problems at all. I was asked how I put a drain onto the bottom of my air box. What I did was in the bottom hole, I drilled that out slightly larger. I tapped it for the matching thread on this drain fitting. Threaded it in there and I slammed some RVT around it just to be safe, but as you can see, it opens and closes, drains water, holds water in. If you don't want it to hold water in, but you get the point. All my electronics were put back in here. I'm actually going to be redoing this again. The entire wiring harness was completely hacked on this bike, so I ended up having to redo the entire thing. I've got a brand new voltage regulator in it, a brand new CDI. The solenoid's brand new. This is the only remaining original piece, and that's like the starter relay and a couple other things that go inside of this. The only reason it's not mounted back up there is because I relocated the regulator rectifier because I was getting really fed up with burning them out. So, needless to say, the whole air tanks, or the whole air box, is now waterproofed as well. So it's actually got a 6-foot snorkel on the thing. By the time it gets up to the top, it's actually like 5'11" roughly. I'm 6'2", and it's just underneath me. All in all, it's been a great bike. Got an update on the front shocks here too. Sorry for the cattails and stuff like that all wrapped in there. So as I said, I was riding through a creek yesterday to clean it up. So this is held up really great. Just these little bracket mounts that I cheaply welded onto there. The geometry's been fantastic. I have a set of Suzuki LT230 shocks that I'm swapping into the front here to give it a little bit better of a ride, because these shocks are originals and they're pretty much toast. Fucking pile of mud up into the front skid plate and everything. With my lift in the front here, this is one thing that nobody's talking about. Dead center here in the front, I have 13 inches of ground clearance. Center frame right here, so just underneath the engine to this ground, I have 12 3/4. The frame kind of drops down on these bikes in the center, and as you can tell, in the rear, no matter what you do, you're only going to get as much ground clearance as the tires give you. I have swapped the rear end over to running grease instead of oil because I was getting serious issues. Every time I would go out, I checked all my lines. The diff was filling with water. It was driving me absolutely bonkers. Nothing I would do would fix it. I tried changing out completely different hoses. Popped off the wheels, popped off the hubs, and all the axle bearings were good. So I couldn't, and seals were good, sorry, and I couldn't figure out where water was coming in from, so I just said enough's enough and decided to start packing it with grease, and I haven't had an issue since. I did put a new drive shaft bearing into it because the old one was worn out. I hadn't realized, just for me to find out the bike's got a bent drive shaft in it, so now has a little bit of a wobble, so I know it's going to end up taking that bearing out again. So this drive shaft and whole rear end's going to be coming out of this bike again, and going to be putting in a new drive shaft, or I'm going to be trying to straighten this one on my press. Just want to say these are definitely a Honda killer. I don't care what anybody wants to say about their Honda 300. This thing will fucking eat it alive for dinner. Factory, this bike whoops their ass. It's got a better suspension, more power, it's a bigger bike, and you can't really complain when you got every feature that Honda didn't come with. Like high and low range, right there, that automatically just one-ups Honda. That's just a slap in their face. I'm not trying to diss Honda, guys, because honestly, I've got 3 trikes in my backyard. I've got another Honda quad. I've owned 3 Honda Foremans in my life. Like, I'm a Honda fan, but I will never buy another 300 versus one of these or a King Quad. It's just not worth my time. I do want to show you guys this. I was kind of making a video called what to look for when you're buying one of these Chinese ATVs, but there's a million people that post them and nobody actually talks about what's really important. I will say, if you're picking up one of these older bikes, go for a Kazuma or an older Geo or a World Peace Industries bike. I can show you 2 of them here that are just insanely high quality built, that I'm telling you put Polaris actually and Grizzly to shame in some sense. Now, my son rides this bike. It gets ridden hard. As you can tell, it's covered in mud. It's not a joke. This bike has been through hell. It's got a 110 in it. Real Japanese carburetor. Size of that chain, that's not some little 420 chain. That's even bigger than a 520, for crying out loud. It's got real shocks in it, so it's not a joke. Like, that's a legitimate bike. It's a Kazuma Falcon. I'm gonna let my son do a few videos on this thing. We've actually got a couple of videos of us mudding. Unfortunately, my GoPro doesn't let us upload to my computer for some strange reason, so I gotta figure that one out before I can actually start uploading good videos of us riding. So, just so everybody knows, this one's a Kazuma Falcon 110. They ran this same bike all the way out to a 250. I said, I am a Honda guy. Got 2 Hondas over there underneath the tarp. Now this thing right here, this thing is the most heavy duty built Chinese bike I've ever come across in my life. It's a World Peace Industries made bike. That's the brand name that's on it. The VIN number comes up as World Peace Industries as well. Sorry, I'm just moving a few things out of the way. It's a 150cc GY6 in this thing. I gotta replace a boot and a footwell here. But other than that, this bike runs amazing. And let me tell you, these 150 GY6 bikes are a different animal for a young kid or a teenager. Anywhere from between the 150 to 250 they come with on these quads as well. They only came with the GY6 in this platform though, so the 250 is actually a Honda clone of a GN 250, I believe is what they are, out of a 250 scooter, but essentially it's the same engine. They were fantastic. Like, this thing is gone anywhere. I've actually got really small tires on the back end of it right now. This thing normally actually has a set of 22s on the back of it, but I got a set of 23-inch mud lights that go on the back and front of this, and it has no problems turning them whatsoever. My son loves this bike. He prefers it over his other one. Unfortunately, it's just not always easy to load both bikes, because try fitting 2 bikes or 2 full-size quads in the back of one pickup without proper racking and stuff like that. I don't want to be the dangerous guy on the highway and having shit fall out. Yeah, that's the 2-up seat for my bike there, my klf300. It's my son's old bike there. This one here is going to be getting restored. It's actually a 2009. It's a great bike. The plastics are in great shape. The paint's in great shape. Obviously needs a little bit of work. I got a brand new carb to put on it. I'm going to be putting new bushings in the front end, new tail light. Other than that, this bike's in fantastic shape. I put brand new wheels on it last year. Sorry, for my son, and it was great. Unfortunately, he outgrew it so fast, as he's a big kid. So went from this little 110 to that 125 to to the 110 that's in the back of my truck to this 150 all in a year and a half, and he's only 8 years old. So he's definitely got some talent in his future on these bikes if he keeps it up, or a promise in it, I guess. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I will be making a video about some of these Chinese bikes and what you should look for and what you should avoid. I'll tell you. This one right here is a Tao, and it was a fantastic bike. But these plastics, the bike sat outside for 1 year, and that's what the plastics do, and that's just terrible. I wouldn't recommend their lower end model bikes. I know now they came out with a much better quality version of it, but it's still sketchy if you ask me with Tao motors. Alright everyone, have yourself a great day and have a good one. Bye.